Now, I've said this a couple of times before, and I'll say it again, but whenever we address any situation involving George Clooney, you might as well call it Clooney Tunes at this point, because it's that insane when it comes to what George Clooney is either saying, either publicly or behind the scenes, or what he's doing, of course, involving his overall way of trying to really recuperate with his career, and really trying to bring things back to normal for himself within the Hollywood bubble, within the media, and it's just not working out at well for him, because we know that many different talking heads in the media are turning their back against George Clooney. Many different peers of George Clooney also want nothing to do with him anymore, whether it's actors, actresses, directors, producers, whatever have you, and it's not looking good for 2025 at all. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new, and like this video to see future updates. You can also follow me at Mike01. I thank you all so very much for the great and kind support. So we know that those out there like Bill Maher of HBO, Real Time with Bill Maher, we know that he too is having a very big issue with George Clooney, not just behind the scenes now, but also publicly speaking when it comes to his overall view of George Clooney's behavior and his comments on what he actually said back in June, and how that resulted in the 2024 loss essentially, and how we know that there's a lot of those out there pointing the finger at George Clooney. They want nothing to do with him anymore, and George can't quite find a way how to cope with the fact that nobody wants him in Hollywood. We already know that he was let go and fired from Warner Brothers. We talked about this multiple times, that the Ocean's projects are no more. They are no longer moving forward. It was supposed to be a multi-million-dollar contract deal that is not moving ahead at all at this point, and other studios are going to follow suit. Now, what's interesting about all of this has a lot more to do with Bill Maher's overall viewpoints of George Clooney. Now that both Hollywood and the media are boxed in a corner and have no clue what to do to recover in 2025 and beyond, one major development going on now involves more to do with both Bill Maher and George Clooney, where Maher recently mocked George Clooney. Bill delivered the following: "Look, this business is tough, I get it. Whether you're acting or writing jokes, there is no denying that we are dealing with a politically correct age, and those out there like George Clooney did not help that at all when he made his endorsement that just did not agree with the majority of people out there in this country." And it's the one thing I will say about a lot of these actors, is that they, many times, just cannot seem to deal with the facts that they just lost. To people like George and Robert De Niro, just shut up already and listen to yourselves talk, because it's people like them why we lost in 2024. It's actors like him that I think caused the media to really just hold this belief that they were going to win this thing no matter what. And you can only say so many lies and toxic things before getting caught, you know? And that was the one mistake George, Robert, and many others made with their careers. They really thought that they had this in the bag, that whatever they said, even if they were lies, if they won those, of course, those lies would just be forgotten and glazed over from relief of winning. Well, they didn't win, they lost, and so now all eyes are on them. Look, I know George just wanted to actually come on the show, and all I can say is that this is not happening. We had some disagreements with the producers, and I felt that we needed to really take a break from the overall rhetoric. Mr. Clooney and De Niro may have taken things a little too far, that it just did not work with the people. I mean, people aren't really that stupid. Did they really think that people would not catch on to everything? So, I don't know. Yes, it's people like Clooney and De Niro why I'm most likely going to actually have to write jokes for the next 4 years about Mr. Orange Man again, and all the crazy things that he's actually going to be doing until 2029. It's going to be exhausting, and I even thought about quitting, but HBO really said, "Stick this one out, Bill," and I guess I'm gonna have to do just that. So guys, let me just stop here for one moment again about what Bill Maher is actually saying. Now look, I've made this openly clear multiple times, and I want everyone to know I'm not a fan of Bill Maher. I'm not really a fan of his show. I'm not a fan of him as, you know, a political commentator per se, or anything related to it in that sense. But I respect the fact that he is calling out George Clooney, Robert De Niro, and is beginning to actually have a little bit more of an opinionated sense of who George Clooney really is and what he's trying to do, and how he seems like, he's beginning to realize that some of these actors were really just spewing nothing but lies. Now look, I think that Bill Maher does flip-flop. I believe that he does engage in being quite the opportunist, you know, to kind of gain ratings or to gain more people to watch a show. I think that there's no denying the fact that that is taking place as well, that he will say whatever he has to say to keep viewers in play here. Over at HBO, there's no denying the fact there. But also at the same exact time, yes, Bill Maher has differing political viewpoints. I think that we could all agree on that and realize that. But he flip-flops, there's no denying about that. He once supported George Clooney outright and Robert De Niro outright based on what they were saying. And now all of a sudden, he wants nothing to do with Robert De Niro and or George Clooney. It makes no sense. That's just how I see things. But at the end of the day, at the very least, there's a turning of the tide where people are beginning to actually turn their backs on people like George, Robert De Niro, and many others out there. So, moving on forward, he goes on to conclude, but I guess I'm going to have to do just that. But damn it, Clooney and all of these high-status actors that have such a large following didn't make it any easier for us that just wanted to talk about different things in politics for the next 4 years. It's going to be quite interesting to see how this all works out for MSNBC, ABC, and especially CNN. But us here at HBO, I don't know, we're going to have to try some different things and new formats to change things up a bit. I can see George never really coming back after this and just sitting in Italy for the rest of his life. I wouldn't be surprised, but we have a great lineup of guests prepared to come on real time in 2025. We are aiming at a new format with new segments that I hope our fans will enjoy. As for Clooney, he just needs to shut up like many of the other A-listers. So, we all know Bill Maher, right? Basically wants to call it quits. He had that meltdown like a week and a half ago. I don't know if you guys caught on to that or if you saw that, but he really wanted to quit. He really wanted to call it quits after, you know, the whole 2024 results came into play and how he just does not want to talk about the same thing for the next 4.5 years. And look, we know that Bill Maher, you know, really should open up his mind and maybe differ, you know, his opinion on certain things, or maybe write new material or expand, you know, his format. That's basically what he's trying to say, is that they're going to be changing things up a bit so that he doesn't really get all that exhausted on his show. But to call out George Clooney, to call out Robert De Niro, I think is a big deal. I think it's a real major sign that there is a turn of the tide, whether it's coming from a genuine place or a disingenuous place or something that's not really essentially real. And I mean, like, things like whether or not Bill Maher truly believes what he's saying, we will never truly know at the heart. But at the end of the day as well, it's at least enough for the fact that George Clooney is being pretty much, you know, out there and shoved out there away from getting on programs like Real Time with Bill Maher. As much as Clooney tried to get on that program in 2025, he's not welcome. He's essentially banned off of that actual show to express his overall side of the story. Bill Maher wasn't having it. We talked about this, about what happened behind closed doors. He didn't want him to go on the show because he would believe that that would actually lead to lower ratings. But overall, I would like to hear what you all have to say about this ongoing Clooney situation in the film industry, in the media, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys later.